Jasmine Crockett drops a bombshell on live TV, exposing Pam Bondi's shady tactics to smear minority women in politics. Bondi spirals, and the Fox News stage ignites with raw tension. This clash will leave you speechless. The bright lights of the Fox News set glared down on Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett as she adjusted her mic, her face composed but her eyes sharp. Across from her sat United States Attorney General Pam Bondi, posture rigid, lips pursed, already radiating defiance. The moderator, a seasoned anchor with a knack for stirring the pot, leaned forward. "Congresswoman Crockett, you've been vocal about systemic bias in politics. Care to elaborate?" The question was a spark, and the room felt it. Crockett didn't hesitate. "It's not just bias. It's a playbook. Certain folks in power, like my opponent here, have made it their mission to tear down women, especially minority women, who dare to speak up. I'm not here to play nice about it." Her voice was steady, cutting through the studio's hum. Bondi's eyes narrowed, but she stayed silent, her fingers tightening around her pen. The moderator raised, an eyebrow turning to Bondi. "Attorney General, your response?" Bondi leaned into her mic, her tone icy. "That's a bold accusation, Congresswoman. I'd love to see you back it up, or is this just another stunt to grab headlines?" The jab landed, and the audience murmured, sensing the brewing storm. Crockett's lips curved slightly, not a smile but a signal she was ready. "I don't need stunts," Crockett said, her voice rising just enough to command the room. "I have evidence. Documents, emails, a whole strategy from your office, Attorney General, outlining how to discredit minority female representatives. Smear campaigns, leaked rumors, you name it. Want me to read one?" The studio went dead, silent. Bondi's face froze, her confidence cracking for a split second before she recovered. "That's absurd," Bondi snapped, her voice louder now, almost shrill. "You're fabricating this to deflect from your own failures. Where's this so-called evidence? Show it." Her hands gestured wildly, betraying her composure. Crockett didn't flinch. She reached into a folder on the table, pulling out a single sheet of paper. "This is an email from your deputy dated 6 months ago, detailing how to neutralize voices like mine. Shall I quote it?" The moderator's eyes widened, caught off guard by the escalation. "Let's keep this civil, ladies," he interjected, but Crockett wasn't slowing down. "Civil? Tell that to the women who've been slandered, whose careers you've tried to tank. This isn't just politics, Pam. It's personal." Bondi's face reddened, her voice rising to match. "You're twisting nothing into a conspiracy. This is a setup, and you know it." The audience gasped as Bondi slammed her hand on the table, the sound echoing through the mic. Crockett leaned back, unfazed, her calm a stark contrast to Bondi's unraveling. "A setup? Then why's your name all over these documents? Why's your team so scared of women like me?" The question hung in the air unanswered as Bondi struggled to respond, her words stumbling. "You're out of line," Bondi finally spat, but the fire in her voice was fading, replaced by something shakier. The moderator tried to steer back, but the damage was done. Social media was already lighting up, clips of Crockett's revelations spreading like wildfire. The tension wasn't just in the studio, it was everywhere. The air in the Fox News studio crackled as Pam Bondi's words hung, shaky and defensive. Jasmine Crockett's calm stare bore into her, unyielding. The moderator, sensing the chaos, jumped in. "Let's move to policy. Voter rights, perhaps?" But Crockett wasn't done. "No," she said, her voice firm, cutting through the attempt to pivot. "We're not brushing this under the rug. The Attorney General wants to call me a liar? Let's talk about the truth." Bondi's jaw tightened, her eyes darting to the moderator for rescue, but none came. Crockett held up another document, her movements deliberate. "This one's a memo, Pam, from your office to a PAC, suggesting targeted leaks to paint women like me as untrustworthy. You want to explain that? The audience gasped, the sound rippling through the studio. Bondi's face flushed, her composure slipping further. That's not real, she said, but her voice wavered, lacking the earlier venom. Not real? Crockett pressed, her tone sharp but controlled. Your signature's on it. Your team's been playing dirty for years, and now you're caught. What's the excuse this time? Bondi leaned forward, her hands gripping the table. You're spinning a narrative, Jasmine. This is desperate. You're desperate. But the words sounded hollow and the audience wasn't buying it. Murmurs grew louder, phones buzzing as viewers tweeted furiously. Crockett didn't blink. Desperate? I'm not the one sweating under these lights. You've built a career on tearing others down, but you didn't expect me to fight back, did you? Her voice rose, not in anger but in conviction, each word landing like a blow. Bondi snapped back, her voice climbing. Fight back? You're inventing scandals to play the victim. This is why no one trusts you. The accusation was meant to sting, but Crockett's expression didn't falter. The moderator tried again. Let's take a breath. But Bondi cut him off, her eyes locked on Crockett. No, she doesn't get to slander me on live TV and walk away. Show me the proof, or admit you're lying. Her voice was shrill now, the desperation clear. Crockett slid the memo across the table, her gaze unwavering. Read it yourself. Or are you afraid of what it says? Bondi stared at the paper, her hands trembling slightly. For a moment she seemed frozen, the weight of the moment crushing her bravado. Then, in a flash, she shoved the memo back. This is a forgery, and you know it. You're trying to ruin me. The outburst drew gasps, the studio electric with tension. Crockett leaned back, her calm a stark contrast. Ruin you? You're doing that all on your own. The exchange was relentless, each jab fueling the fire. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #Crockett exposes Bondi trending as clips of Bondi's meltdown went viral. Crockett's poise only amplified the contrast, her every word measured yet piercing. This isn't just about you, Pam, she said, her voice softening but no less powerful. It's about every woman you've tried to silence. Every lie you've spread to keep power. Bondi's eyes flashed with fury. Don't lecture me about power. You're the one grandstanding for clout. But the accusation fell flat, drowned out by the audience's murmurs and the relentless hum of live feedback. Crockett shook her head, almost pitying. Clout? I'm here for accountability, something you clearly don't understand. As the segment neared its end, the moderator's voice was barely audible over the tension. We'll have to wrap. But Crockett's next words cut through, sharp and deliberate. We're not done, Pam. Not by a long shot. Bondi's face paled, her silence louder than any retort. The cameras zoomed in, capturing every second of the unraveling. What Bondi would say next could make or break her, and everyone knew it. The Fox News studio was a pressure cooker, the air thick with unspoken challenges. Jasmine Crockett's words, "We're not done, Pam. Not by a long shot," echoed in the silence, her gaze locked on Pam Bondi. The Attorney General's face was a mask of barely contained panic, her usual polish replaced by a raw, cornered edge. The cameras caught every flicker of her expression, amplifying the stakes. The moderator, visibly rattled, tried to regain control. We'll take a quick break, he stammered, but Crockett's voice sliced through again. No breaks. Let's finish this. Bondi's eyes flashed, a mix of fear and fury. Finish what? Your little performance? She shot back, her voice, trembling but defiant. You've got nothing but fake papers and a loud mouth. The insult was desperate, and the audience stirred, sensing weakness. Crockett didn't flinch. She leaned forward, her tone low and deliberate. Fake? Then why's your team scrambling right now? I bet your phone's buzzing with damage control. The jab hit hard. Bondi's hand twitched toward her pocket, betraying her. You're delusional, she snapped, but the words lacked conviction. Crockett pressed on, relentless. Delusional? I've got more. A text thread from your aide, planning to leak a story about my incompetence. Want the screenshots? She held up her phone, the screen glowing with evidence. The studio erupted in murmurs, the tension palpable. Bondi's face reddened. This is a witch hunt, she shouted, slamming her fist on the table. The sound reverberated, startling the moderator. You're trying to destroy me with lies. Her voice cracked, the outburst raw and unfiltered. Crockett remained unshaken, her calm a weapon. Destroy you? I'm just reading your own words back to you. If that's destruction, you built the bomb. The audience was riveted, phones out, capturing every second. Social media was a frenzy, with Bondi meltdown climbing charts. Crockett's poise was a masterclass, her every move calculated yet authentic. This isn't about me, she said, her voice steady but fierce. It's about the women you've targeted, the careers you've tried to end. You thought we wouldn't fight back? Bondi lunged forward, her composure gone. You're twisting everything. I've never targeted anyone. But the denial sounded hollow, drowned by the weight of Crockett's evidence. The moderator tried to intervene. Let's keep it respectful. But Bondi cut him off, her voice rising. Respectful? She's accusing me of crimes on national TV. Her eyes were wild, her hands shaking. Crockett didn't blink. Crimes? You said it, not me. But since you're bringing it up, should we talk about the ethics complaints tied to your office? The question was a grenade, and Bondi froze, her mouth opening but no words coming out. The studio was electric, every eye on her. Crockett continued, her voice cutting. You've spent years dodging accountability. Not tonight. Bondi's silence was deafening, her earlier fire extinguished. She gripped the table, her knuckles white, as if anchoring herself against the storm. The moderator, desperate to regain control, tried again. We need to move on. But Crockett wasn't. Letting go. Move on? Not when she's still dodging. Pam, tell the truth. For once. The challenge hung in the air, unanswered. Bondi's eyes darted to the cameras, then back to Crockett, her silence a confession of its own. The audience leaned in, the tension unbearable. Social media was ablaze with viewers praising Crockett's unflinching resolve. But Bondi wasn't out yet. Her next words, whatever they were, would either salvage her or seal her fate, and the clock was ticking. The Fox News studio felt like a battlefield. The silence after Jasmine Crockett's challenge, a loaded pause. Pam Bondi's eyes flickered with a mix of dread and defiance. Her hands clenched as she faced the unrelenting gaze of Crockett. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the sweat beading on Bondi's brow. The audience held its breath, the weight of the moment suffocating. Social media was a wildfire, with Crockett vs. Bondi trending globally. The moderator, voice strained, tried to break the stalemate. Attorney General, your response? Bondi inhaled sharply, her voice low but venomous. You think you can bully me into a corner, Jasmine? You're playing a dangerous game. The words were meant to intimidate, but they trembled, betraying her. Crockett's lips twitched, not a smile, but a spark of resolve. Bully? I'm holding up a mirror, Pam. You don't like what you see, that's on you. The retort stung, and Bondi's face twisted. A mirror? You're peddling lies to smear me, she shouted, her voice cracking under the strain. She pointed a shaking finger at Crockett. You've got no proof, just doctored emails and a vendetta. The accusation was desperate, and the audience stirred, sensing the unraveling. Crockett leaned forward unfazed. No proof? I've got a paper trail a mile long. Want me to keep reading, or are you ready to own it? Bondi's eyes widened, her breath hitching. Own what? Your fairy tale? She snapped, but the fire was gone, replaced by panic. Crockett slid another document across the table, her movements deliberate. This one's a budget report, Pam. Funds allocated to opposition research on minority women in Congress. Your initials are on it. Care to explain? The studio gasped, the sound a wave crashing over Bondi's defenses. That's not what it says, Bondi yelled, snatching the paper. Her hand shook as she scanned it, her face paling. This is taken out of context, but her voice was shrill, her credibility crumbling. Crockett's calm was a blade. Context? The numbers don't lie. You funneled money to dig dirt on women like me. That's not politics. That's obsession. The audience erupted in murmurs, phones glowing as viewers live-tweeted the carnage. Bondi's eyes darted to the moderator, pleading for rescue, but he was frozen, caught in the crossfire. You're twisting everything, Bondi spat, her voice raw. I've fought for justice my whole career. You're the one attacking me. Crockett shook her head, her tone cutting. Justice? You've fought for power, Pam, and you've stepped on anyone who got in your way. Bondi lunged forward, her composure shattered. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through. The outburst was raw, almost pleading, but it only deepened the tension. Crockett didn't blink. I know enough. I know the emails, the memos, the lies. I know you thought you could bury us, but we're still here. Her voice was steady, each word a hammer striking Bondi's defenses. The moderator tried to intervene. We're running out of time. But Crockett cut him off, her eyes locked on Bondi. Time's up for dodging, Pam. The truth's out, and it's not going away. Bondi's face contorted, her silence louder than any retort. The cameras caught every second, the internet exploding with clips of her meltdown. Crockett's resolve was unshakable, her poise a beacon in the chaos. But Bondi's next move, whatever it was, would decide how this ended, and the world was watching. The Fox News studio was a crucible, the tension so thick it seemed to pulse with every heartbeat. Jasmine Crockett's words, "Time's up for dodging Pam," hung like a guillotine over Pam Bondi, whose face was a mask of fury and fear. The cameras zoomed in, catching the tremor in her hands, the sheen of sweat on her forehead. The audience was silent, the world beyond the studio roaring with reactions as Crockett exposes Bondi dominated every platform. The moderator, voice shaky, tried again. We need to wrap. But Bondi's voice erupted, raw and unhinged. You think you've won, Jasmine? You think this ends me? Crockett's eyes didn't waver, her calm a stark contrast to Bondi's unraveling. I'm not here to end you, Pam. I'm here to end the lies. The choice is yours. Her voice was steady, each word a deliberate strike. Bondi's breath hitched, her eyes darting to the documents strewn across the table. Emails, memos, budgets, all bearing her name. These are fabrications, she shouted. But her voice cracked, the denial hollow. The audience murmured, their doubt palpable. You keep saying that, Crockett said, leaning forward, her tone sharp but controlled. But the evidence doesn't lie. Your signature does. Your actions do. You targeted women like me because we scare you. Bondi's face twisted, her hands slamming the table. Scare me? You're nothing but a loudmouth with a grudge. The insult was desperate, and the studio gasped, the sound fueling the chaos. Crockett didn't flinch. A grudge? No, Pam, this is justice. For every woman you've tried to silence. Bondi's eyes blazed, but her voice faltered. I've done nothing wrong, she spat, yet the words sounded like a plea. Crockett held up one final document, her movements slow, deliberate. This is a recorded call, Pam. Your voice instructing your team to bury a congresswoman's reputation. Want me to play it? The studio froze, the threat landing like a bomb. Bondi's face drained of color, her silence a confession. The moderator, wide-eyed, stammered, That's a serious claim. Serious? Crockett cut in, her voice rising with conviction. It's the truth, and it's time the world heard it. She pressed play on her phone, and Bondi's voice filled the studio, cold and calculated, detailing a smear campaign. The audience gasped, the sound a tidal wave. Bondi's hands flew to her face, her body slumping. That's not, she stammered, but no one was listening. The truth was undeniable. The internet exploded, clips of the recording going viral within seconds. Bondi's career, her reputation, teetered on the edge. She tried to speak, her voice barely a whisper. This is a setup. But the fight was gone, her words drowned by the audience's murmurs and the relentless hum of live feedback. Crockett leaned back, her expression not triumphant but resolute. You made your choices, Pam. Now you live with them. The moderator, desperate to close, rushed in. That's all we have. But Crockett's final words cut through, calm yet piercing. This isn't just about you, Pam. It's about every woman who's been attacked, every voice you tried to crush. We're done letting you win. The studio erupted in applause, the sound swelling as Bondi sat, defeated, her head bowed. The cameras lingered, capturing her fall, while Crockett's poise shone brighter than ever. As the broadcast ended, the fallout was seismic. Bondi's allies scrambled, but the public had spoken. Crockett's measured courage sparked a movement, with women across the country sharing their stories of political sabotage. Her name became a rallying cry, reshaping the narrative around women in leadership. Bondi's tactics, once hidden, were now a cautionary tale, her influence eroded by the truth she couldn't escape. Crockett walked off the stage, head high, her victory not in Bondi's defeat, but in the hope she'd ignited, a new era of accountability, where no one could hide from the light.